Oh yeah. Well,
how many years?
I always say that I ditched out right when it got easy.
Yeah.
So true.
Right when we
also
had actually,
the babysitter of the band and mom of the band.
I'm 5 years in. There's a bunch of crew members to help me. There's a bus with air. I'm done.
Yeah. Pick the right time to get out.
Anyway, but back to those Warped Tour days with the Monster water. This is the good part. It was like, oh, here's Monster Energy, Monster Energy. You could have as many cases of Monster Energy as you wanted. But we got like one case of water. It was like liquid gold.
Oh, totally.
It was like, we were killing ourselves drinking these fucking energy drinks all day long. And then all we needed was water to like replenish ourselves. And it was like, who's got the water? We have this one case. It was like rationing water out.
Oh, yeah.
And how scarce it can be.
because we used to eat all the gyros, too.
Oh, God.
And it was so salty,
Late
and then you
night
drink all
gyros.
the alcohol, and you're so thirsty. And you just
couldn't get
everyone goes through all the water. It was like you had to hoard them, like had a few, for the middle of the night.
All right, this is really bringing me back, because remember the Dirty Bird? Jimmy's Dirty Bird?
Which dirty bird? Wait.
So on the rider, we always had a chicken.
Oh, yeah. The rotisserie chicken. We called it the dirty
chicken
bird.
would sit there for
all day.
8 hours, 10 hours, and no one would touch it. But Jimmy, at the end of the night, would eat this Dirty Bird.
Well, no, what's funny is one of the
touch it.
rotisserie chickens actually made everybody sick when we were like in Jersey or something. We had like a photo shoot.
I don't remember.
With like I just had one of them on and we talked about it. Joanna Angel from like the Burning Angel porn franchise. She was like the main one. And back in when we were doing the City of Evil stuff where we'd photograph all the girls and stuff. And
I was just looking, my brother has the revolver spread with the 2 girls like laying on the table.
Yeah.
He has it
and one of them I went to high school with,
He has
which
it
was hilarious.
Yeah. I was like, it took me back.
He framed it?
Yes.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Where? It's literally like was framed sitting in his garage. I was like, oh, okay.
It's an odd thing to have framed in your garage. I mean, more power to you, but I mean...
I don't know. Is it odd, though? Actually, it's kind of cool, right?
It is actually
Should you just have a picture of your brother-in-law's
Yeah,
framed,
that's the
or
thing,
should
like-
you have some hot chicks in it?
Cool. Like when
Well, you could have like cut off our heads or something,
just the chicks laying naked. just the side cleavage.
Side boob. Everyone loves side boob.
It's true.
But yeah, so getting back to it a little bit, you guys have been there since day one, since before I was there,
Yeah. Oh, so do you want me to tell? I'll do the real quick back to your question.
Good. And back to no. This is what we do. We go around the block about 3 or 4 times before we get back to what we were talking about.
It's easy conversation, so it just darts around a
lot.
lot.
So we heard the story of Brian Hayner making Michelle Di Benedetto, Michelle Hayner.
I'll make mine real quick and concise. 7th grade, Matt just transferred to school, walked into Mr. Fairchild's class. Boom. I was fucking in love. Done. End of story.
Yeah. And that was the love story. No, but I mean, I think that's incredible too. Like when we talk about magic blessings, everything, like just the stars aligning basically. And you were 7th grade, and you're now you've been together that entire time.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't. I mean, that's very unheard of, right?
Yeah, I would say we're very lucky because there's no gray area. It's like we know each other's history so much. It's pretty incredible to we didn't meet when we were in our 20s and have to learn what each other's childhoods were about, or what did we grow up like? What did we do? Matt lived 1 block away from me. We snuck out in the middle of the night and we met in Central Park, and we were totally straight and very polite and gracious and didn't do anything crazy at all. we weren't stealing. Nobody was
you're glad you're not in church right now, because I think you'd burn on arrival.
We totally weren't stealing our parents' Jack Daniel. And we totally weren't doing anything crazy in the disgusting Central Park bathroom.
It was walking hand in hand through the park.
It was very
nice,
discussing your most
moonlit walk.
Yeah, nice moonlit walk.
Yes, it was beautiful. But anyways, we grew up going to the same high school parties. We were always together. Our first experience doing shrooms together. when Matt overdosed on acid, I was there. Like, when Jimmy fucking sprayed a mint dropper, a vial of acid into Matt's mouth, I was there. So it was, it's incredible to share those memories, like, and to be, you know, with him, like, at the very beginning is really awesome. But of course, there's a lot of trials there too. Like, we talked about getting married when we were teenagers, like 15. But we were like, oh, but we're too young and blah, blah, blah. And so there were some, you know, tricky territory to navigate there, you know? Mm-hmm. So, but anyway, that wasn't very concise. So moving on.
No, I think people want to hear about that. I mean, I think, as I said, it's incredible. Like,
yeah, we're so lucky.
We're all so lucky. We're so close to you guys.
Yeah.
Like we're all really family in it. We're so blessed to,
I think a lot of people see that when me and the boys talk about it, and you know, it's more focused on the 4 or 5 of us. You know.
Yeah.
We're not faking the funk. Like, we're a legit.
Yeah.
We're family before we're Avenged Sevenfold.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
That comes second.
Absolutely.
It's so unique, I think, and it is, you know, and obviously goes full spectrum with the, you know, how close we are with Lacey. Like, that's so special. With, you know, all of us are just like close knit. So
we do vacations together. We do everything together. And you know, even for our own manager, Larry Jacobson, he couldn't believe it the first time he saw it. He was like, wait, like, these guys, like, just got off the road together, and the first thing you're going to do is go hang out together?
Yeah,
yeah, that's all I want to do.
Go on vacation together? Yeah.
I want to go over to fucking Johnny's Saloon and spend my $500 I earned on this fucking 3-month tour.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good times.
Great times.
I have actually, I think Brian and I have our relationship. We have Johnny's Saloon to thank for that, actually. That was a big part, played a big part in it, yeah.
We have a lot to thank for Johnny's Saloon.
Seriously.
That was literally the bar
memories.
that we would come in. Someone would call you up. It was probably Brian that would call you up and tell you that we were going. And we'd literally come off the freeway.
Brian or Jimmy?
Yeah, with the trailer still attached to the van.
Yeah.
And roll straight into Johnny's before we even went to our houses.
Oh my God!
And it was amazing. We take our little envelopes of our money that we earned from that tour, and then Johnny eventually was just like, "I'm not taking your money." Such a mensch. Love it. But you mentioned going back to house parties and stuff, like with Matt and Brian, and you guys. We all went to a lot of the same parties. I think that's actually what I attribute most of how I joined the band was when I ran into you. At Nick Nguyen's house.
Nick Nguyen's house. I remember being in the backyard by the pool. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was incredible, actually. I remember that night perfectly. Like, what up, Johnny?
Yeah.
What are you doing these days? You want to quit high school? You want to join a band?
So no, I want you to. So I think my audience has heard it enough.
Does everyone know Val masterminded the whole thing?
I don't think so. I tell it a little differently, so that's why I want to hear your side of it, and what you remember from that night. Because I mean, so leading up to it, I'll give a little lead up to it real quick. I'd been hanging out with the guys in the band. I know all the guys in the band, but wasn't. You know, I was just a little shithead little brother. And we'd watch them rehearse at the Sanders house. And I came out to a Chain Reaction show first because I wanted to get support and buy a CD from there. I knew it was selling at Bionic Records at the time, but I didn't want to go to Bionic Records.
I miss Bionic. Oh,
Bionic.
Good memories.
Local record store. So instead of doing that, I wanted to go to the show in Chain Reaction and by Sounding the Seventh Trumpet from, the merch booth. Didn't know that Val would be running the merch booth, and she was like, "Oh, hey!" And I was like, "What's up?" Well, just here to support. And then, fast forward, 6 months or whatever from there, it was when we ran into Nick Nguyen's house party, and we were talking. I was asking about what was up with the band, and then you take it from there.
Well, I'll take it a little bit back because I gotta really emphasize Johnny coming. So the band used to practice in Matt's garage, his parents' garage, and Johnny had a friend that lived in the neighborhood.
Right.
And so they would walk by and come by the garage like during practice. They'd be jamming. They'd sit there like watching, jamming out.
We got free shows, man.
And then like we'd go eat right across from Marina. And I remember running into you. What was that?
So there's you guys would go to
Schlotzsky's?
Schlotzsky's.
I
always
It was the one next door. The Schlotzsky's.
The OC Taco.
Okay. So I remember Johnny, like with his little shaggy hair, would like run in. He was like super skinny and like it was. So we'd be like, "What up, Johnny?" And so then fast forward. There's just history there. I'd run into him all over HB, and run into him at our friend Nick Nguyen's house. And we had some shaky ground switching through bass players. And I said, Johnny, you jam on the bass. What do you think about coming on tour? And I think I called Matt like on the spot. And then the rest is history.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, yeah.
I don't know.
No, I mean, well, how I remember it is, I asked how the guys were doing, and you're like, oh, they need to find a bass player right now, and you play bass, right? And I was like, well, yeah. I mean, I'd throw down for a little bit. I mean, especially if they were coming up on the last 2 week of a co-headlining tour with a trio, last 2 weeks rather, and I was like, well, I could at least take off time for that. Normal people go on vacations. I'm gonna take my one vacation I've ever had going through school and go, play some shows. I was like, it'd be a great learning experience for me. Not thinking anything of it, just not
thinking you were quitting school.
Not thinking I was quitting school, not thinking any of that. I couldn't sell my mom on that at the time, so.
Yeah. Oh, Leslie, come on.
Go on vacation.
Oh, now she's our biggest fan, but.
Yeah. She would have regretted that big time if she had said no.
And then moving forward from there, it was obviously that you had called them because they were out on the road, and I got a call literally, I think the next night, with Matt, Brian, Zach, and Jimmy on the phone. And they were like, and I had jammed with Jimmy a little bit in the garage, like after those rehearsals. I was in there jamming with Jimmy. And he was the other one, besides you, first advocate. He was the second one.
Oh, Jimmy was a huge advocate.
He was like, no, this guy can actually play. And I couldn't really at the time. It took me a while to learn, but.
Jimmy brought Brian in, too.
Yeah, Jimmy did bring Brian in.
Oh, yeah, Jimmy was smooth. Yeah, Jimmy was a huge advocate of Brian.
Yeah.
It was like all Jimmy.
Now that we're talking about Jimmy, this is a perfect, easy segue. This is how the conversations go, right? Tell me a little bit about Jimmy in your words, Michelle. Your first time meeting him. Obviously, all the audience knows that we lost the Rev in 2010. Was it 2009? It was the end of 2009?
It was 2009, but like the last couple days.
Last couple days of 2009, yeah.
So you can go there, huh, Johnny?
I got it.
Drink up.
Drink up.
I know.
We'll take a shot for
we'll
take a shot for the old boy in a second.
Okay.
First, I want to hear, some of your fondest memories, first time you met him, stuff like that.
Funny enough, Jimmy used to drive me crazy when we were in middle school. Well, I met him in middle school, but he was like always getting me in trouble because he would always be our house was like the party house, and he was always screaming, and I was always like, shh. Like, stop.
We'd have people over, like my parents would like go out to dinner, and we'd have like our friends over,
but we were 12 years old, so it was like my parents go out for dinner, and like everyone's at my house. It's like, quick, we got 2 hours. Start drinking.
Let's play some James Bond.
And then
I used to love playing
we were doing the James Bond. It was good. So yeah, he used to like always like just make me like feel like I was gonna get in trouble. But
well, let's be real. I'll intercept real quick. He did get us in trouble. He'd like go into the garage and steal beers from my parents' fridge. Yeah. like I remember
Jimmy, no, that's surprising.
Like, so
he got us in trouble all the time. Like he would like be at our house out of a frying pan sipping beer. Out of
the frying pan. In his fucking robe.
It was
that shit.
So
well, if everyone's seen pictures of Jimmy in this era, like he was going through his robe. Was he rat hair then?
He was redhead, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I was not an angel child, but I was trying to stay a little bit out of trouble at the time. So that's how we started off. But God, that man was so loving, and I think actually, like my memories of when Brian and I first started dating, it was was me, Brian, and Jimmy hanging out all the time. And I remember just sitting
Before
in
you
his
go a little
car.
further, I want to show everyone something real quick. Can you show them the 7 tattoo?
Oh, yeah, so that actually makes sense.
Yeah, the three.
Very
the
relevant.
Three you got
Oh,
that's so cute.
that's a good memory right there, actually. But real fast, I was just saying, like, we used to sit in his, what was his car? Pepper. And we just
The
like
Thunderbird,
we
blue
just
Thunderbird.
like me,
That
Brian,
thing
and
was
Jimmy would
gross.
just like sit,
So gross.
sitting there. Yeah, it was
so smelly.
He had a keg back there because he had a keg back there for probably a year because he didn't know where to tap it. I was like, dude, that thing's not good anymore.
The only thing smellier was the van with Jimmy in the back.
Ooh.
peeing
Oh,
in
the
water
world.
bottle.
The world that I used to
God.
hang out with him.
All right, sorry.
So yes, I hung out in that car a lot. We were underage, so it was like we're in a lot of places we could go.
Yeah.
So we just like sat
Party in the car.
Party in the car. Well, what a loving person was he? Just like I feel like he was such a like huggy and touchy person, but like not in a negative way, like in like such a like wonderful way.
Embracing.
So
with a
embracing.
big heart,
Yeah. And so the tattoo story is actually definitely one of my good ones. And it's a little wild, but you know, many of our Jimmy stories are a little wild,
If
right?
Jimmy's involved, it's probably pretty wild.
Yeah, you know. So we were all in Big Bear. Trying to decide how much of the story I should tell.
Let it all out. We could edit anything later.
You be the vulgar dark comedy twin
Yeah.
for once.
Okay, bring it out. All right.
Bring it out.
Maybe I should show another side of me. We were all in Big Bear. We were all staying at Matt's grandparents' cabin, and we were on shrooms. And so we all decided to go to get a matching tattoo. And Jimmy wanted to get a shroom on our toe.
Duh. I mean, you're sure.
That actually makes perfect sense. Why didn't you get that?
It actually makes perfect sense. I wish I had gotten it, but despite the shrooms and the watermelon vodka that I was also drinking, I just thought it would be classier to get a prison tattoo.
Way classier.
And
That's
so I
amazing.
came up with the 7 because I'm April 7th, Brian's July 7th, and then Jimmy just liked 7s. Like,
Yeah.
It was his lucky number.
It was his lucky number. So
Oh, yeah.
I thought
I think it's kind of all of our.
everyone's lucky number.
Everyone in the band just kind of adopted that as a lucky
Yeah.
number.
Yeah.
7.
I do
think
everything in 7s.
All of our passwords are 7. If you want to break into any account,
Yeah.
just try a 7. Like,
It's amazing none of us have named our kids 7 yet.
oh, that actually would be cool.
I
Remember
mean,
7?
I couldn't because
I
we
do
had,
remember
we had a
7.
friend of
And
7.
Aqua's.
Remember?
How's he doing?
I don't know, but I gotta hit him up.
Yeah.
Hi,
I
7.
love that dude.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway.
Amazing
sorry.
drummer.
Amazing drummer. Jimmy actually
Jimmy
took a
was
lot.
very inspired
before
by
we,
it. Yeah.
Before we
Yeah.
played with Opiate for the Masses, Jimmy was very much kind of like Brooks is now. Just kind
Yeah.
of plays, does his thing, shreds,
Yeah.
unassuming face the whole time. And it wasn't until he saw 7 that he
Saw
started
7
doing.
on-
And he
On
started
Warped
doing
Tour,
the,
I remember
the
watching
sticks.
him with
Yeah, total
watching 7 with
inspiration.
Jimmy, and Jimmy, yeah,
It
definitely
just
took
really
some-
like creatively like opened his realm, I feel like.
Absolutely, I absolutely did.
stylistically, yeah,
Anyway,
for sure. So I'll let you tell your Jimmy stories.
well, I'm gonna be honest. I don't talk about Jimmy a lot.
Yeah.
It's like an open wound,
Yeah.
and you'd think that all these years later it would be like a little easier. But you know, I still cry when I listen to Fiction. Like it's
Oof, yeah,
it's
it's a hard
fucking-
one.
he was just that vibrant and magnificent that you don't get over losing that light in your life, you know?
That's a great
and
point, yeah.
I think what's incredible about Jimmy is that like 100 people called him their best friend.
Yeah.
And I like to say he was like,
I actually said that at his memorial.
he
He made everyone feel. You actually just gave me a flashback.
he made it,
He made everyone feel like
they were
you were
that
there.
special.
Mm-hmm.
And that is just such an incredible trait, like to be able to, and that's really just about compassion and focus.
Yeah.
Like when you were with Jimmy, he wasn't flighty. He was like in with you.
He kept his attention
Whatever
to you.
was going on.
Yeah.
It was your world. It was your world. Yeah.
Deep. And most people don't do that. They're like, oh, what's going on? They're distracted.
Yeah.
They're like thinking about their own shit. Like he had his own shit, but when he was hanging out with you, it was like a whole whirlwind of just the two of you. And I think that he impacted so many people's lives that it
Absolutely.
Don't worry about this side. The side noise is just
Don't worry about it.
Background noise.
I could clean it up later.
okay.
Well, we're all family, and so there's a little bit of kids
There's
in that
family coming
background.
over.
Right?
One of my first episodes ever was having Jared and Duddy over, and Frankie came home screaming, and it was just part of the show.
Yeah.
Totally. Oh, I love
Well, I
it.
think it's even like shows that like we're not just doing a podcast. We're like having all our family get together because we're all
Because we are all family.
Family,
And
you know?
Yeah, and to your point about Jimmy, just that world, like when you're in it, you're in it, and I just wish a lot of me doing this show. It's been therapeutic, obviously. I could only imagine how much more Jimmy would slay this position, like how much he would just like be able to, as you said, just like it's all about you, and that's what a host job is, you know. Like, and he did it naturally without even learning a trait for it, right?
First of all, you're slaying. You're doing great.
yeah.
But
I
Jimmy,
didn't like that analogy, but
like he.
I'm not downslaying myself. I'm just saying, like
But
Jimmy
no, I
would have
agree.
been
He'd be
fantastic at it.
He'd be able to get into your world and ask you unique, intriguing questions that really mattered. Like like really pull you out of your shell. You know.
Yeah.
And I think he had so many best friends. He's so close to so many people. But I just have the most magical moments with him. And I remember the first time I met him, by the way, he fucked with me. Like, I'll never forget the first year I was driving my parents' Suburban, and we're driving down the street, and I'm like I'm 16, driving down.
driving probably like
and
8 people in the
Yeah,
Suburban.
they're all smushed in the Suburban.
or more.
And there's one of those road construction, like triangle, like things that like with the reflective things.
Yeah.
He's hanging out the window and he grabs one and flings it against the car and scratches up the whole fucking car. And I was like it was traumatizing at that age. Like I had to bring the fucking car home all scratched up
And try to tell that
destroyed.
story.
And then like
Jimmy did it. Jimmy did it.
But how do you tell that story?
There's
My
no-
friend was hanging out the window, grabbed
Yeah.
the like,
That's why he ended up with fiction on his chest. Because if you just heard any of the stories that Jimmy did pre-Avenged Sevenfold, you would think that there's no human that lived that way. And
during
he
Avenged
absolutely
Sevenfold,
did.
still fiction.
Totally.
He just is. I think that was actually the most perfect thing he ever did was get that tattoo, because his life was so much more incredible than other people. He lived like to the fullest and above.
Well, wouldn't you
Like,
say he, so many of us worry about what other people think, and he just lived in complete disregard for what society thought.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes that made
people
even me
mad.
uncomfortable, because it was so far out there.
Well, we
but
got-
God, can you imagine living that way? Just like
I think we all
don't
try to, especially,
care.
I think that's
I
why such
agree.
an inspiration.
It has
Yeah,
to.
it's
I
always
remember
was
watching
an
him at
inspiration.
That's why
Yeah.
he's so inspiring to begin with.
Every high school party we were ever at, like, in high school, you're like, you want to look cool, you're worried about what people think. Jimmy didn't give a fuck. Like, we got in so many fights because of Jimmy. I don't care, but it was just like, he rubbed people the wrong way because they were so scared and insecure themselves.
Oh, yeah.
And here was Jimmy, this vibrant, open, just cut wide open human.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people were afraid of that vibrancy.
that
level.
complete disregard for like
Yeah.
society's rules.
People are always
you
afraid of
know?
something that they can't understand.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
that was Jimmy. Like he was seriously a supernova. He was just like so fucking bright that he just couldn't last. He just burst.
Yeah. Well, let's take a cheers to the old boy.
Yeah.
Are we not?
And then we'll move on to lighter things. You did mention, kind of segued me for it. Cheers. Cheers, brother. You mentioned getting in a lot of fights. And I want to bring up one of my favorite fights I saw you guys in was at my mom's house.
One.
Wait, by the way, can I, before you get into that one, because I'm scared, Lacey, from the get-go, still holds that against me. But way before that, at St. Bonaventure, one of my favorite fights ever is Matt's brawling with someone, and Jimmy, since we were talking about Jimmy, I have to tell this story. Jimmy gets down on his hands and knees for Matt to push
the guy over, the old school. In a legit fight, though. This wasn't like a playground, like, let's have some fun. He did it in a legit fight.
We were like 16 or something.
But do you think Jimmy was ever afraid of a fight? Like, because I don't think he could take it that seriously. You know what I mean? Like
he never really took fights seriously, but then I've seen him like the San Diego show when he when he got the name Dozer. after like he was like 3 people behind and came over the knocked that dude out.
Oh my God.
I talked about that with Mike when we were golfing. Fat Mike like a month ago now.
Yeah.
But like we were golfing. I was telling him, I was like, you know, the first time I met you, Mike, I had a bunch of cocaine. I was supposed to go to your room, and we ended up getting a fight in the parking lot instead.
Mike was out of my house the other night and very sober and wonderful.
He's been awesome. He's such a good dude in general, sober or not. But
he totally is.
Yeah, he's a
good
great
person, and he's been really self-growth.
Yes.
Cool. It's cool.
It's been really cool to see him. It seems to have really gained his confidence. I mean, not that he had a problem with confidence before. Speaking of someone who just doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, totally.
He does give a fuck. I correct that. He cares so much that it comes off as not giving a fuck. If that makes any sense.
Back to Jimmy, and once you get me on the tangent of Jimmy, I can't get off of it. He gave a fuck so much. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just a different degree. Like, he gave a fuck about his circle so much. Like, if he thought one of his friends' family was peeved or angry in any way, he was like devastated.
But that's why I tried to keep calling it like society's rules, because he didn't give a fuck about what society
like random strangers
things should, you know what I mean?
Totally.
like he would run rampant in public in ways that I think many would not, you know.
Yeah, 100%. But what were you talking about?
Fighting.
Oh. Val and I tried to change the subject.
So I want to tell a little story about. I think it was we'll just call it my 21st birthday because I know I got kegs.
That means nothing. That means absolutely nothing, but okay.
Still living at my parents' house, and I got 3 kegs, invited everyone over, another kegger. It was a house party.
Oh, it was
a real deal, 3 kegger.
It was a rager.
It was crowded.
And at some point, there was a group of people there, and I think it was one of you two walked up to me and was like, "Do you know some of these people?" And I was like, "Oh, actually, I don't."
Like a bunch of randoms.
It was
walked in. Yeah.
Just walked in, and then,
it was me.
Oh yeah. So it was Val, and you walked in, and you're like, "Do you know these people?" I'm like, "No, I think they're just crashers." They're like, "Do you want me to start getting them out of there?" I was like, I mean, there was a good 30 to 40 of them. Like, and I was like, yeah, sure. And then like Jason joined in too, sure. Jason Barry. And then like we all started to kind of try, and they were not going easy. Like I think their whole point was to be
free keg.
Yeah. So like at some point, someone backtalked you. I don't remember exactly what happened, but the whole fight was backyard to front yard. Like it was just a brawl all through the fucking house.
So
sorry, Leslie.
I know.
Oh, I had to tell my mom that night. She came home early from work that night, and I was like, "Mom, just go stay in your room." And she's like, "What's going on out here?" And everyone's fucking throwing furniture and getting fucked up. I was like, "Go back to your room. I'll fix it later. Go back to your room." I remember when she came home, and I was like horrified. But by then I was already deep. My hair had fucking pulled out hair. Chick pulled out your hair.
Oh, yeah. I had like a quarter-sized bald spot forever. It was crazy.
Zach got a bottle knocked over his head, a 40 knocked over his head.
Yeah, it started outside with... It started outside with Zach. Mm-hmm.
No. It started outside with me because this.
Oh, both.
Okay.
But both of you guys in the same circle, right?
I was very politely asking people whether they knew you or not. I just remember being like, and of course snotty because I was like what, like 19 or no, actually I was older. 20s.
We were in our early
okay.
20s.
Okay, whatever.
I was 21. Remember?
I was still immature, and so I was like
I was with
politely asking
Brian, so it
people.
must have been early 20s.
Yeah,
It was very early 20s. If I'm being honest, I think it was my 19th birthday.
Damn, I was still fighting like a fucking.
I know.
No, the fight came to you. The fight
Yeah,
came
exactly. I still say this to that day. I
Yeah.
never threw a punch first.
to you. No, definitely. I'm witness.
So this girl, I was just like, hey, do you know whose party this is? Like, and she had no clue. I was like, we're asking people to leave. And she just went like aggro. She's
Yeah.
like, fuck you, bitch. I'm not getting out of here. And then like, it, you know, how it goes from there. Just